Hiya. It's former Deputy Prime Minister, proud northerner from a working class background, basic instinct enthusiast, and still fourth sexiest woman in the UK according to a BBC poll, and I am not resigning from that position, thank you very much, Angela Rayner, and welcome to another no-brainer with Angela Rayner. Now, I don't make these very much anymore, but I felt as though I needed to make another no-brainer because there's a few things that I have got to say, and the first thing is I need to squash this rumour that I'm going into I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. Yeah, all right, I've got bills to pay, but I don't do it that way. I'm not interested in going on the telly to do it, thank you. I'm not a Reform MP. I'm not Nadine Dorries. I'm not Nigel Farage. So no, I'm not going to go into the celebrity jungle and make an idiot of myself. Thank you very much. I will pay my bills my own way. I don't need to worry about, having insects crawling all over me. I spend enough time in Westminster dealing with insects. Thank you very much. I don't need to go out to Australia to meet any more. So there you go. Also, our Kia is away at the moment and people are slagging him off for it just because he's off jet setting again, going somewhere else, going 9,000 miles over to Brazil for the COP30. It's very important that he goes there because that is something that means so much to this country at the moment, is worrying about climate change. So it was important that our Prime Minister flew in his special jet over, like all the other important people in the world are going over to Brazil to talk about climate change and how terrifying it is and how people should not be flying, going on their holidays, twice a year or whatever, and carbon footprints and all that. And we need to sit and lecture the public about things like that. So it was really important that he flew the 9,000 miles to Brazil to do that. And he's meeting up with Prince William as well. So, two birds with one stone, one private stone. So there you go. So it was very important. So I needed to make sure everyone understands why our Kia was not in PMQs today and why our David was leading PMQs. And I have to say, our David made history today. I am so proud of him. Our David is the first ever black MP to lead PMQ. So well done to our David. It is so important. And I'm so pleased to see that the press have run with that headline because that is one of the most important things that we should all be we don't talk about it enough. It should be talked about. Well done to our David. And we need to make a fuss. I know we didn't make a fuss about the fact that Rishi Sunak was the first ever person of colour to be, the Prime Minister. But he's a Tory, so they don't count. Tories don't count. We're not interested in how many people of colour are in the Tories. We don't care about that. It's important to talk about it when it's us Labour. So well done to our David. It was nice to see him getting some positive headline. Well, positive headlines from people that we like, but of course the far-right adjacent media didn't want to give him a positive headline, did they? No, they had to run with the fact that our David forgot to put on his poppy before PMQs. Well, I'm sorry, but who hasn't done that? Who hasn't forgotten to put the poppy on before PMQs on the week of coming up to Remembrance Sunday? It happens. It's happened to loads of people, probably loads of people. And, saying that he didn't have one on for PMQs is actually dangerous misinformation because he did have one on because he asked one of his mates to borrow theirs when he realised he hadn't got his own because the Tories were slagging him off for it. So actually, he did have one on for PMQ. So you lot are just pathetic. Running with stories like that are ridiculous. Honestly, you should have been talking about the history that he made. Instead, poppies. Ridiculous. Anyway, he really stood his ground in PMQs today. Up against James Cartledge. Well, he wasn't supposed to be up against him. He was supposed to be up against Robert Jenrick, but Jenrick was nowhere to be seen. So they've already tried to wrong foot him by putting somebody else in, which was absolutely... We see you, Tories. It's just so ridiculous. But he held his own, and it was nice to see that David had taken a lot of my advice. I told him to go full sass. Just go for it. Arms in the air, get them told, just like I used to do over the dispatch box, giving it to him like that. And he did. And he really went for it. He even said, get a grip, man. which was so prime ministerial. It was really professional, wonderful to see that sass. Just, you know, because it's usually quite boring in PMQs, but he really went for it. It was absolutely he really did make history today. And it was very sad to see that all the Tories had was the same question over and over and over. I don't know who this James lad did, but I don't know how long he's been doing his job for, but you're supposed to ask more than one question, James. It was ridiculous. Same question. Are you going to apologise to the family about the asylum seeker that was accidentally released? Are you going to apologise to the families affected by that? Are you going to apologise? And he kept saying, I already did. We've already said we are sorry about it. It's very sad. And he kept coming back with the same thing over and over again. It was no wonder he told him to get a grip. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then he managed to think of one more little question at the end, asking whether any other asylum seekers had been accidentally released. What a stupid question. And he said he did the right thing by totally deflecting and not answering the question at all and trying to move it on, because we were just sick of hearing about it at that point. And he did the right thing. But then, right at the end of PMQs, our Lindsay decided to allow a point of order from this James character, who then announced in a very dramatic way that the Telegraph have just reported that a second asylum seeker was accidentally released and shouldn't have been, and they've not found him yet. And it was and I mean, thank goodness our Lindsay shut it down and told our David he didn't have to answer it if he didn't want to, and then that was the end, and he sent everybody on their way. But how ridiculous is that? Trying to do a gotcha moment in PMQs, that is so unprofessional. But it's what you expect from the Tories. But you know what? It doesn't matter what you lot say, and it doesn't matter what you lot do. Us Labours are going to continue to go from strength to strength. I'll see you again on another no-brainer with Angela Rayner.